help you on this thing and give you a challenge. Here's what we're going to do. Normally, I do the mural summary. The summary is where I summarize everything we've learned. Now, instead, I'm going to hand it over to you because I'm so lazy that I don't want to do the mural summary today. I want our guest to do it. It's the world's first. So I would like you to summarize everything you've learned into a simple model, and I'll do that by running the mural summary.
All right, everything we've learned into a simple model. Well, Jennifer and I have done a ton of research and have especially looked at, are there different styles of humor? So we've run studies revealing that there are 4 broad styles of humor. Jennifer alluded to them earlier. So we're going to give you an overview of those styles here, and there's the axes that they tend to fall on. So first, and just a quick overview on the axes, expressive versus subtle is how you tend to use your humor out in the world. Aggressive versus affiliative is who you tend to target most naturally. Do you target other people or do you target yourself, and sort of a third thing in the world? All right, so first we have the stand-up. Stand-ups are bold, irreverent, natural entertainers, not afraid to ruffle a few feathers to get a good laugh. They're confident in front of a crowd, never back away from a roast, and thick-skinned, so they can take it as well as they can dish it. Next, we have the sweethearts. So sweethearts are, let's roll in here. Great. All right. So sweethearts are earnest, understated, warm. They're very emotionally attuned with their humor. So they avoid anything that might risk hurt feelings. They're always using humor that brings people together. Next, we've got the snipers. So snipers are edgy, sarcastic, dry, nuanced. They're masters of the unexpected dig. They often call their humor an acquired taste, and they say that their laughter has to be earned, which is why it feels really good when you get it. And then finally, we have the magnet. So magnets are expressive, charismatic, outgoing, uplifting. They tend to be really easy to make laugh, and sometimes they can't even hold back their own laughter when they're making their jokes. Not afraid to be silly, these magnets. So each of these styles is a window into both your unique strengths and also potentially your pitfalls, which we can go into in a minute as well.
Talk about a pro. I mean, Naomi, you should basically run my job. I mean, you're much better than I am, really, I have to tell you. Well done. And by the way, everyone watching here, this is live. We're not cheating. Is that correct, Naomi and Jennifer? There's no cheating here.
That's correct. You would think that we would have edited out all of these mistakes, if not, but this is live.
Exactly. Listen, I had to ask you, what is a safe zone to operate in with those 4 areas here? Where would you say this is where we recommend people to spend most of their time?
Well, if you're thinking about it from a leadership perspective, it's really powerful, just based on that last anecdote, to not just necessarily use, if your natural style is stand up, not necessarily use that all of the time. The key is to really read the room, understand where the room is, what are the goals, what is your status in the room, and then be able to create the right environment for those goals and in that room. More often than not, especially right now where really hard conversations are being had and need to be had, it oftentimes helps to shift into potentially a magnet or a sweetheart mode, because those 2 modes are really good at creating inclusive environments where challenging conversations can be had. What we find with our stand-up leaders or our sniper leaders is that they often use humor as a sign of intimacy. Like, I'll tease you, and that means I like you, which is great, except for, they're easy to overstep and potentially alienate or offend. And if you're a CEO or a leader, you might not know you inadvertently alienated or offended, especially when everyone's laughing with you. So the opportunity to A, understand your own style, B, understand the style of others, and then C, be open to shifting your style given a specific goal or context of a meeting or event is really important.
So here you have it, everyone. Now we finally have a manual for how to be funny. That's kind of, if you ask me, that's kind of funny. Marshall?
Well, you know what? I think it's great. And I think one thing I like about what you guys are doing, because I mean, you're at Stanford Business School, so you could sit there and be stuffy all the time. And one thing I like what you're doing is really kind of giving people permission to be human beings. I mean, people can be so boring. And so I think it's so nice just to give them permission to be human beings and realize, like, okay, we're going to screw up every now and again. We're humans, we're vulnerable. It's just part of life. And so I love what you guys are doing. I think it's great. And, I wish they taught it in more business schools.
Thank you so
Okay,
much. Yeah, that's
now,
exactly
coming
what
up.
we have to do.
Sorry, we have a bit of a delay here. I apologize. Now, does the concept of using humor in the business world work as we are all online, or has that glimpse in the eye disappeared with the risk of being misunderstood? I mean, this is a serious challenge, isn't it? Jennifer, how do you handle this?
Well, first of all, it's such a good question right now, especially I think 85 in a recent survey, 85% of people said that their mental well-being is on the decline in the last 2 years of the global pandemic and largely working remotely. Moreover than not, it's really, it is hard to use humor and levity and be a human. As you said, Marshall, it's so much more not about being funny. It's really just showing up as a human. What we find is that you can do it actually in this online world as well. So for example, one of the CEOs that we work with and are friends with is someone named Connor DeMignon. And, like for so many leaders, March 2020 was a really dark time for him. Brand new CEO of a large nonprofit, the global pandemic hits, and he's leading his first virtual meeting with his entire team just weeks after the world went into lockdown. People were exhausted, they're scared, it's tense. And so he's running this meeting and he's sharing a few slides on screen and he makes a few remarks and then he passes it to another teammate to speak. But when he passes it, he pretends, he intentionally leaves his screen share on. His whole entire team watches with bated breath because they think, that was an accident. And he opens a Google search and he goes in to type things inspirational leaders say during hard times. And the whole team loses it. He comes back and he, pretends like, I just want you to know you can trust me, and they just lose it. It's this wonderful moment of vulnerability and laughter and levity and diffusion of tension. And it has these significant payoff for him. We know that leaders with a sense of humor are seen as 20 to 30% more motivating and admired. Their teams are more engaged and creative. And as Marshall said, this isn't about cracking a joke per se. It's just about showing up in a way that's human, but you can do so in ways that are human online as well.